What's up, everyone? Welcome to Level 7, the severed floor of the Agents of Fandom podcast. I'm your host, TJ Zwarych, and we got a very special show today because we are dipping outside of the comic book and Star Wars realm here on the Agents of Fandom podcast and covering the hit TV show Severance on Apple TV+. We got our guy Ryan Reflects in chat, always already talking about the wonderful background we got here. So shout out to Ruben Rapalda, co-owner and head graphic designer here at the Agents of Fandom, for whipping this up for us for the show. Joining me, my trusty co-host throughout this journey of Severance Season 2, Rachel Leishman. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing great. I'm excited to talk about television's best actor and one of my beloveds, Adam Scott.
That is literally how I wanted to dive into the podcast, for just in case somebody's tuning in for the first time, they don't know you. What is your background with the character, the actor Adam Scott? Why do you love this character in a TV show of his so much, and maybe even have a pet named after him?
I do have a pet named after an Adam Scott character. Benjamin Wyatt is love of my life. I love that character. I've loved Adam Scott movies and roles for a really long time. And I think he is one of television's best actors. So I do like that Severance is giving him the platform where people are like, oh my God, he should get Emmys. Like, yeah, thanks. I've been there. I've been trying.
You Benjamin Wyatt there.
Yeah, I've been Benjamin Wyatt there. Benji Wyatt the cat is out there. But yeah, I love Adam Scott, and I think he is a fantastic actor. And I think this premiere episode does a really good job of showing why I love Adam Scott as an actor.
He really was special throughout this episode, and I think we'll dive into that further towards the end. But it was kind of, I remember seeing him in Step Brothers, and then years later watching Parks and Rec and absolutely loving Ben Wyatt, and not realizing that that was the same person until I went back and watched Step Brothers years later and was like, wait a minute, and just made me love him even more. And
what was your Party Down phase? You didn't watch Party Down and then cry because it got canceled, like me?
I didn't. I can't say I've been there. So I'm not as big of a Adam Scott fan as you are, but I still think he is a pretty phenomenal actor. I think same thing for Parks and Rec. I absolutely love it, but maybe not quite to the same level. You think you got me beat? I think you got me beat on that one. But Severance is really going to showcase, I think, in season 2 in particular, his acting chops. If episode 1 is any type of reflection, how deep into the season have you seen already?
So for the junket, I only did the first 2 because I only wanted to. Yeah, Uncle Ben. Listen, don't get me started. That's the only reason. Sorry, Ryan in the comments said, how about his iconic role as Uncle Ben? One of the reasons I defend Madam Web as much as I do is because of the casting of Adam Scott as Uncle Ben. But that's just me. But for the junket, I only watched the first 2 because I didn't want to really get into spoilers that much. I really wanted to kind of watch the show and theorize with people online. And so I did the first 2 because I was interviewing Dan Erickson and Patricia Arquette. And so I was like, well, I kind of need to see more. I have to see Patricia Arquette because she's not in the first episode. And I need to get more of a feel of it. And so then I did those 2. And I was like, all right, I'm capping it at 2. I'm not watching anymore. I want to do a rewatch of season 1 and then dive in. So I've only seen the first 2. And I'm trying to decide how I want to go about watching. Because now I'm like, well, I want to watch more, but I also don't. I'm stuck.
I got to shout out to our wonderful Adam Blevins for the great Severance season 2 review he has up on agentsfandom.com. And I was genuinely considering reaching out to Apple too and being like, so Adam's doing our written review. I might put up a video review if you want to send me the screeners as well. But I decided at the last minute, I just want to watch this week to week. I heard that 6 episodes were being sent out, and I couldn't imagine having to just wait the 6 weeks and just sit on it and not be able to talk about anything. I want to experience it with everyone. I want to.
He'll be on a later episode, but I was talking to Liam Crowley because he watched the first 6 because he had 2 for his interviews, and I was like, yeah, I did the first 2, and I said, nope, can't do it anymore. I was like, I need to watch those 2. I need to go do a rewatch, and then I'm gonna decide how I feel. And so far, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can wait until next week to watch the second episode, or maybe I'll just rewatch it tonight.
As Rachel just teased, we have some wonderful guests coming over the next couple episodes. We have Jamie Zwarych, co-host of Phase Hero, coming for our Severance episode 2 breakdown. We have Liam Crowley of Screen Rant coming to join us for episode 3. I know at some point we'll have our friend Sean of the Metalcore Nerds and Collider coming to join us as well. Not sure what episode yet, but we got some really fun stuff planned. So make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow the Agents of Fandom wherever you get your podcast. In addition to Severance, if you are a comic book fan, we're going to be covering Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man each and every week when that drops. After that, it's going to be Daredevil Born Again and or Season 2. Right in the middle there, we have Captain America Brave New World, which we will have some really fun interviews and giveaways planned for. So stay tuned, follow the channel, hit the like button. Let's talk about Severance. We got, I think, very different viewing experiences with this because you saw it as it came out and had to deal with the 3-year-long cliffhanger. I went for years hearing how incredible this show was, but that there was no season 2 in sight, and just kind of decided to wait and wait and wait. And then eventually, as soon as season 2 got closer, decided to binge the whole thing over like about a month ago. And it felt like 3 weeks was a long time to wait on that cliffhanger. I can't imagine 3 years.
No, it's crazy. Waiting 3 years. So when the show was coming out, it was one of those where obviously I knew a new Adam Scott show had come out. Like, I didn't do press for it or get a review for it at the time. I just heard about Adam Scott on this new show. And so then me and my friends started watching it. And it was like, we all were watching it together. We were like, okay, yeah, Severance is back. It's good. Or Severance is here. It's good. Like, I don't know why everyone was talking about it so much, yada, yada, yada. And then it got to John Turturro and Christopher Walken's love story. And it went from us being interested in it to I'm fully invested, or at least with me. Can't speak for other people, but at least with me, I was invested because it's Adam Scott, but I fully was I will become the biggest fan of their show because these two dudes are smooching. I love it. But then, yeah, it got to the cliffhanger, and it was they said it was going to be a minute because they had to write it and do it. And I was like, okay, great. And then it was the strikes delayed it, and then something else delayed it. And it was oh, so we went from maybe a year between seasons, which sucks, but isn't that bad, to 3 years.
I can't imagine having to sit on the cliffhanger for that long. And we'll do a little season 1 recap of where it brought all of our characters to. I really thought when I was going into this show, one of the reasons why it took me so long to watch it is I didn't realize how in my wheelhouse of a little moderately supernatural sci-fi-esque with very much just a mystery puzzle box that slowly unravels each week, which is one of my favorite types of TV shows. I honestly thought it was just a business drama when I thought that's what Severance was. And I had no idea that it was a literal severance is a thing in the show. And they're
not just getting fired and getting money.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's honestly what I thought the show was based on, knowing nothing about it. And so diving in, it really enhanced the experience knowing nothing about it whatsoever. And I fell in love with each of these characters individually. Adam Scott's character, as we go, he's just kind of seeming your everyday guy, and then he sort of becomes the cheerful protagonist, the reluctant protagonist throughout, and finds out that his wife has been alive the whole time with Miss Casey. And we get Helly, who is trying to get out the whole time and finds out her outie is one of the people orchestrating it all, and she's just this absolutely terrible person. Irv finds out, I forget Christopher Walken's character name, but Irv finds out that Bert is with another man after he is retired. And so his innie Bert is gone.
With another man. Probably Bert's actual husband.
Yeah, Bert's actual husband. But innie Bert is gone. Outie Bert is with his husband. and Irv is devastated.
He's cheating on any Irving.
It takes us to season 2, and I will admit, I was the one like small. I'm gonna start actually with like the small qualm that I have of where we pick off from the cliffhanger of the season 1 finale. I really wanted kind of some sort of. It felt like all through season 1 we were waiting for like the big puzzle box reveals, and while we finally got a lot of answers at the end, it felt like the cliffhanger was going to lead us to another big one. But it kind of feels like we're back at and I guess it is the beginning of the season, the beginning of a new story. So we are. I hear the complaints that I'm giving and realizing how ridiculous they sound, but it kind of feels like we're back in the same place, ready to start again. I wanted more answers that we didn't really get yet.
Interesting.
What were your initial kind of spoiler-free thoughts of season 2, episode 1?
I liked it a lot. I liked that we are right back in the mystery of it, because when you stop and think of the logistics of Severance, like, yeah, these characters would be confused. They wouldn't know what's going on because they are literally part of the Severed program. And we watched in the finale of season 1 where Milchick tackles Dylan to the ground. And so they would be quote unquote not severed anymore. And so it would be their outie personalities are taken back over. And so I think it's really, I like where it starts, because it is, we're figuring it out. We're right back in it, because logically that makes sense to me.
That's why I'm kind of mad at myself that I had that qualm, because I was like, I'm a logical guy outside of when my brain goes crazy for theories. And so I know this is just like ignorant desire of wanting answers, as opposed
Like,
to
why weren't the innies taking over and running things outside of Lumon?
Yeah, like I guess I want the news clips they're referencing throughout. I want access to them, I want to be able to read them. I want to know the full backstory of everything going on in the outside. I don't want to have to wait for the
news
Emmys to
articles
experience it.
now.
And so I guess I'm just selfish and impatient, because logically I agree. It makes complete sense where the story picks off with the group back, or with Mark getting back there and the group not being there. As none of the other ones had returned yet. And so he has a brand new squad. They don't last very long. He's all Mark.
They had an Italian, Mark W., who said, "Do you want to change your name?" And then Elias Kalma. And that's the crew. And I do like that this Italian guy just does not speak English. And
with brooms and a rope at my first Lumon residence. What? Pardon me?
Well, I also like that Mark seemingly understands Italian. Because at one point, the Italian just asks him something, and he goes, "Okay, it's over here. Follow me." And it's like, well, wait, why do you understand Italian?
He just kind of, I honestly got the impression that he didn't necessarily understand it. He was just so bought into like, another day at the office. I guess I'll deal with this today. And then until he kind of finally got a chance to deal with Milchick. And this is where things start getting weird. Milchick is the brand new person in charge of the group. Miss Cobell is gone. And now there is Miss Huang, who is a child and is their new supervisor. And like,
her first job was
they asked her, "Why are you a child?" "Oh, that's because of when I was born."
But also she was a crossing guard.
Yeah, at school, like your patrollers thing that go out in the morning, did your school have that where like the older kids go out in the morning?
Yeah, but a child wasn't in charge of it. It was an adult.
That's kind of what I'm picturing, is like she was helping the little kids at her school cross
the street. But yeah, an adult normally does that, not like a child herself.
And now she is a full-on supervisor at Lumon. Do you have any kind of thoughts or theories of who the hell she is or how she got there?
One that is not my own, so I won't say it. My best friend has a great theory about who it is. But no, here's the thing about this show. Every time someone's got theories, I'm like, I don't know. my brain with it is like, I'm in for the ride. I have no theories. I am just like, you tell me what this show is and I'm buying into it. Like, even like I saw I'm sure we'll talk about it a little later. There's a theory about Helly that's been going around online. And I was like, no. Like, so I'm like the person who is going to get shocked by the very easy theory. Because even that, like, that little stuff that people picked up about Helly, I was like, oh no, I just justified why that happened in my brain, and I was fully on board with it. Had no theory about it.
I
Just
know
more
we'll
coming
get
in with her.
I know we'll get something with her that'll reveal who she is, but I don't have the slightest freaking clue. And so I don't even know where to begin with to theorize. Like, usually is if somebody sets me on a path, I can like really like fill out the rest of a theory and try and, you know, keep it airtight, put all the duct tape where it needs to go and make it make sense. But I don't have any idea of where to go, of like who that could possibly be.
Mephisto.
Sorry?
Mephisto.
It's Mephisto. Exactly. It's Mephisto. Ironheart was delayed, and so Mephisto's making his first appearance. Severance season 2, tied back, of course, to the theories of WandaVision. And I don't know. I have no idea who the hell she could be. But Milchick's in charge, and it kind of just seems like this dude has been failing upwards the entire time.
Mr. Milkshake.
Mr. Milkshake, exactly. And he consistently delivers a pretty wonderful acting performance throughout season 1 and throughout this episode. It's Tremel Tillman, and he is incredible, because I don't know how he doesn't just I'm also rewatching Daredevil at the same time, and I'm in the midst of seeing Kingpin's just like anger explosions, and I feel like Milchick's on the verge of that at all times, especially after what he went through with Dylan. And like, I guess he's had 5 months to like decompress and like go like get some therapy and talk through them biting each other and like having their epic battle.
But imagine if you did all of that, right? You as TJ, you did all of that. You were like, I've worked through my issues. And then you get this guy who fought you coming back into your life, and it's like fresh off of it. So you put all that work in, and then Dylan is like, remember when you broke my belt? And it's like, that would just break me again. I'd be like, I did the work.
Back to square one.
Yeah, but now we're back to square one, because it's like, well, yeah, I guess technically for Dylan, it was 2 seconds ago that this happened.
And we get them all back together. The whole crew, Irv, Helly, Dylan, they all come back. Felt kind of weird that they managed to all get them back after.
Well, because I think Milchick was lying.
Probably lying, true. Probably lying, but like, feels weird that after seeing what happened with all of them, that they would kind of want to go back after that 5-month span.
Well, but no, because like when you stop and think about it, like break it down from season 1, Irving was in the middle of it, trying to figure out what was going on with Lumon.
Yeah.
Because he has that map he wrote, or like he was clearly trying to figure out what was going on. Mark also is on high alert that something is going on. I think Dylan, like outie Dylan, is also kind of aware, because like he was in the closet and his kid was like, I'm sure something weird happened with outie Dylan, where outie Dylan was like, I don't know that I trust this. And then obviously, if Helena's the only one that is weird. But if she's trying to do damage control, it would put Helly back in it. Or if they're trying to keep the secret to the innies, they can't be like, oh, the only one who didn't come back is Helena or is Helly.
Yeah, that does make sense. I'm with you there. Couldn't get there myself, but now that it's explained out, I got no qualms with it. And we get the whole bunch of changes at Lumon, and I'm sure like we're still gonna get a lot of that explanation too, right? Like Mark S is like the innie exclaimed to the world that she's alive, which while we have no idea how they'll take that, we got to assume it's the one important person in his life that is dead that they're gonna assume he's talking about. And so I see it. I'm all aboard. and we get all these changes that they talk about with, you know, the break room is now no longer a torture chamber. It's got these nice chairs. It's got the TV, and in the TV, we talk about all of Lumon's changes with a wonderful claymation presentation presented by none other than Ben Wyatt after he got fired for the first time. And yeah, hit us with the Keanu reference.
And Keanu Reeves. I was like, wait, I want to talk about the Ben Wyatt of it all, but Keanu Reeves is the voice of Lumon. And I didn't do this on purpose. I went to a screening and like just put this shirt on this morning. And then as I sat down, I was like, oh, wait, I'm in my Wherefore Art Thou Keanu shirt.
Big few months of voice acting for Keanu Reeves with Sonic 3 and now Lumon.
Lumon. Yeah, I'm writing about it right now, but it is truly my favorite thing that for some reason Adam Scott and claymation are like a thing. Because it's, if you guys don't remember, what's it called? What for a Tuesday? Requiem for a Tuesday. I was like, not Requiem, I was like trying to figure out what it was. Requiem for a Tuesday. Unemployed Ben Wyatt is like, I figured out my new job. I'm making a movie out of claymation, and it is 2 seconds. He said, I've been working on that for weeks. And then now there's a whole claymation sequence of Severance.
I love having the headcanon that was somehow made from Ben Wyatt, you know, or if like at bare minimum the writers were like,
Mark did it.
Yeah,
and he's actually just unemployed Ben Wyatt.
Yeah, exactly. Mark, they went to Audi Mark and they were like, hey, we need some help. I heard you have some skills in claymation. Do you think there's any chance that you could hook us up with this new video? We have Keanu Reeves voicing. He's like, Keanu Reeves, absolutely. And that's I can see that being exactly how it plays out. Let's talk about their sharing circle where they all talk about their experiences, except Helly is a big old liar. She's a big old liar pants. I'm wondering if Night Gardener, exactly. Irv picks up on it because he catches the Night Gardener thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if maybe the theories out there was that they made her forget somehow through the Severance program, or they sent in Helena back in there.
That's the theory, is that it's Helena, not Helly.
Helena, not Helly. And that one to me makes more sense because I originally thought, like, did they change her memory a little bit? But then as soon as she was like, no, we're nothing like our Audis. We have nothing in common. We're our own people. Was like, oh, no. Okay. She was lying. She knew about it. So that either means she's trying to not tell them about how terrible her Audi is, or it is Helena and that was, and she's trying to play Helly, but that was still a very emotional sticking point to of her of like, no, I'm my own person. I wasn't torturing somebody, and like I wasn't torturing anybody in there, kind of thing. What do you think's going on with Helly?
Well, so I think it is Helly, but I think she's lying because of what she knows. Like, I just think she's like, I don't know. I would buy into both. I would buy into it that it is Helena, and she's keeping up the ruse and is like, well, no, I like, because she knows her and he hates her. But I also believe like the reason they all thought it was Helena was because of the elevator where she's standing. But I'm like, but yeah, you have to stop and think about it. The last time she was a person, she was in a ball gown at an event on a stage. So it's like, for me, I'm of two minds. I'm like, if you told me it was Helena and if that was the case, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I can see it. But I also am like, I kind of think it's just Helly, and she is trying to lie and not let them know that like she is part of Egan. Because the reason I said that is because when they were in that room, Dylan's like, they were talking about how Milchick is like, there's no cameras, there's no microphones, say whatever you want. And so Helly, I think in that moment realized like, okay, we all don't believe Milchick, because Dylan was like, that guy lies all the time. Like, we can't trust that there's not a microphone in here. And so I think her gut reaction was just to lie, because if she was like, actually, I'm an Egan and I'm a CEO and I told everyone on stage, they would kick her out and not let her be there.
I think that makes sense, and I'm on the thought process that it's Helly as well. I could see the whole it's Helena thing, but I agree with you. And that's as soon as they even said the camera thing, my thought process was, oh yeah, Helena could have had just watched all the tapes, figure out how to act exactly like Helly. And so maybe that's how
she points out that the camera's not there anymore.
Yeah. And
She's
so
one of the first that points it out.
And so I do think there's some credence to that theory, but personally I think it's Heliar, and she was just ashamed of the whole thing, as in addition to didn't want Milchick to hear her talking about it, and it's gonna come out at some point. I don't think this is a lie that's gonna last the entire season. I think this is a lie that's probably gonna come out within the first few episodes when they get back into scheming, because I didn't love how at the end it's just kind of like the whole season 1 was like, all right, how do we get out? How do we tell the world? How do we tell the world? How do we get out? And it's like, and then the first episode ends and it's like, we're back together. Life's good. Here we are. And it's like, for you guys, this was just like an hour ago. How are you so chill right now? Like, I feel like you should, the adrenaline should still be pumping, and Mark is the only one who has sprinted the halls to get all of that adrenaline out.
Well, I mean, Dylan also was ready to fight.
Yeah, true. Dylan is still in fight or flight mode. He's in fight mode and Mark's in flight mode. He's just sprinting the halls, and Dylan's ready to go.
Dylan in that belt. Yeah, I'm one of two. Like, I understand that. I think they were all like, okay, well, we can't go anywhere, because then they realize they lose all their power because they won't exist. So it is either play by Lumon's rules to try and figure this out, or just kind of be done. But I don't know.
Etienne Boucher makes a great point in chat that towards it's Helena side of the theory. She points it out to make them think they aren't being spied on, because she's on their side. She's on Milchick's side. She's the one running the whole thing from the inside, if this is Helena R. So I don't hate that theory whatsoever. But really, like, it all seems like a pretty tame episode 1 overall, until you get to the literal final shot, where the literal final shot of this episode is, I'm trying to find the picture here to look at it. I meant to have it up on this computer, then I realized I'm producing on my desktop, not my laptop, and I don't actually have it here. But we get to see Miss Casey, who we still have no idea where she is, Mark's real life wife, showing up as Miss Casey. The wellness center is gone. She's nowhere to be seen, but we get this last shot of her when we realize that the numbers that at least Mark, we don't know everybody, but at least Mark is collecting, sorting. These ones you can see behind us here on our lovely little background from Ruben. They're going towards some kind of program that's titled Cold Harbor that has her screen right in front of it. I don't know if they're rewriting DNA. I don't know if they're cloning. I don't know if she's been alive the whole time, or if this is a new clone altogether. What the hell do you think is going on with Miss Casey?
I don't know. I thought about that because there's a lot of, well, we know that Mark was a professor before he became severed, but wasn't he just like a history professor?
I think so.
So it wasn't like he was some professor of science or like technology. He was literally a history professor. And I don't think they ever say what her job was outside of this. Like, I know she's technically like a therapist within Lumon, but I don't know what like her job when she was married to Mark was. But I do think like one of my theories was like, okay, well, did they fake her death to get him in there, or was he just kind of like a result of them faking her death and taking her so that they could use her for something? Or like it's me trying to figure out what level of like deranged Lumon is, because they could have just faked her death and then been like, okay, well, now you live and work for Lumon full time as your severed part. And Mark just was like collateral in that. And he ended up being part of their program simply because he was upset and not like the other way around where they did it to get to Mark. But I can't quite figure out like what her deal would be that would make Lumon worth it. Like I don't understand what Lumon's doing.
I do really hope that it's not her screwing him over and it's Lumon, you know. At the end of this, I really want them to be on the same side. And here we go. I have the photo that I'm ready to bring up now. We see the cold harbor at the top. If you're listening to us and you on podcast form, shit, we appreciate you, we love you, but you got to check out YouTube as well so you can see the full breakdown, see the cool background. We got the cold harbor the photo up. It says 68%. Whatever the heck that means. We know the numbers are going towards these numbers at the bottom were the same on Mark's screen. We don't know what it means.
I was like looking at it, so
yeah.
You took the picture away, and my face was like,
we don't know what it means. I don't know what those numbers are, what any of that could mean, but it seems like a cloning process, and Mark is helping identify the traits to make her the proper type of person. That's the best sort of idea that I have. I really hope that it's not she was some Lumon person and she faked her death to be part of this experiment and left him brokenhearted. I don't want that. I want, when we find out what's going on with her and if she eventually becomes more heavily involved in the show again, I want her to be on their side. I want her to be working with them. I love a squad. I don't want her to be an adversary. I've had enough of that when she was Daisy's mom in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Spoiler alert for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but too bad, it's been years. And so she was great there. She's great in this show, and I just want her to be on Mark's team. I don't want Mark to have to go through more pain, is what it comes down to. But the final thing I want to really touch on with this episode is how brilliant Adam Scott was. His performance was awesome, and I think it is very well deserved that people are already going, hey, Severance Season 2, this is going to be Adam Scott's Emmy time. And if the promotion and the campaign is already starting, I'm all aboard the train.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I've said it before. I said it to Adam Scott's face in an interview before. He plays sadness in such an interesting way to me because every single character that he plays has this kind of sadness to them, but it's all different. And I know acting, and I know that's the whole point of it, but it's like to play so many characters who have this very dark sadness to them and have them all feel so unique is wild to me, because Henry Pollard's sadness and Ben Wyatt's is very different than Mark's, but that's also very different from this movie he did called The Vicious Kind, where he is like depressed with a beard. And so it's like he has this way of approaching characters and finding those emotional beats and making it so completely unique to that character. And I think it's what makes him such a special actor, but it's also why people kind of brush by him because they're like, oh yeah, that's a sad guy. It's like, no, but if you look at them all as a whole, they're all sad, but in different ways. And it's really cool to see how he can do that. And I'm glad Mark is giving him the recognition that he has deserved for decades.
Couldn't agree more. He's doing an incredible job with Severance, and I can't wait to see where the rest of season 2 goes. Any final thoughts on the first episode? Any theories, any qualms, any shout outs that you want to give that we haven't touched on?
I do want to give a shout out to Zach Cherry because I think he has he is so funny in this show in a way where, like, if you're listening to him, you end up like you're laughing out loud at the things he says, because when he's trying to convince Irving to stay at Lumon so that they can like figure out what's going on, he is like, I was the one who got you and Bert together. He was like, I made this happen. And it's just, he just says pretty funny things. It's the belt thing where he's like, are you going to buy me a new belt since you cut my belt? And like, we know Zach Cherry is very funny, but to see him in that context is just really, really funny. And I think like rightfully so, give credit to Christopher Walken and John Turturro, to Adam Scott, to Britt Lauer, like to Trammell, like Patricia Arquette. We give all these people the flowers they deserve. But I think Sagittary really is so funny in this show, and it is that little bit of lightness that you kind of need with Severance.
I agree, and I initially, as soon as I started binging this with Ava, I was like, "Hey, it's Bus Guy from Shang-Chi," and he just
Ryan,
consistently
it's do a flip, Spider-Man. Do a
yeah,
flip.
do a flip. Yeah, exactly. And he's got such consistent, hilarious line delivery in even bit parts. It's so awesome to see him in a much larger role, like in a show like this. I couldn't agree more. He does an incredible job. Speaking of Spider-Man, we're going to be covering Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man starting next week. We're going to have a couple everything you need to know videos for both Spider-Man, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and Daredevil Born Again coming out over the next week. So make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, follow the Agents of Fandom on YouTube, on wherever you get your podcasts, at Agents Fandom on TikTok and Twitter, Agents of Fandom everywhere else in terms of socials. Because we got a lot of great stuff coming. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Captain America, Brave New World. We'll do our typical previews and reviews and reactions and theories, but we're also going to have some interviews for that one. We're going to have some giveaways to give people a chance to go see that early. So we got a lot of really fun stuff coming with Captain America, Brave New World. Then we got Daredevil starting in just a month and a half away. We have Andor season 2 coming a month after that. It's jam-packed content for the entire year of 2025. Rachel, if people want to see more of your Severance stuff, particularly those interviews, where could they find them? And then what other type of stuff do you got coming that you want to give a little plug to?
You guys can see my interviews with Trammell Tillman, Patricia Arquette, and Dan Erickson at the Mary Sue. You can see my work there, and you can also see it at Collider. You can hear my podcasts, Padro Pascal, the Powell Pod, and Cinema Sibs, all where you find podcasts. And you can follow me on social media. Twitter is Rachel Leishman, all together. And then it's Rachel_Leishman on Instagram, since TikTok is dead here in the United States.
Not here in Canada. I do wonder if that's actually going to go through there in the States, but that's another topic for another day. Like Rachel said, you can find her content up on the Mary Sue, like this wonderful review right here, one of our best television actors. Make sure you check out her wonderful content. You can find mine up at agentsoffandom.com. We will be back next week talking some more Severance. So hit the like button on your way out, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our content. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. We will see you next week. Peace.